Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I am your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's happening, B?
Oh, Lord, when you hit the wrong intro button, how about that? Oh, it's all good. It happens. It happens. Man. Rand, it's been 4 weeks in the NFL. Well, hold on. Before I get to that, let me thank everybody before I jump in. I'm ready. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in for another week. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So please go to our YouTube page, Empower TV Network, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share, and let everybody else know about the fantastic show that you are watching with me and Mr. Randall Hargrove right now. Rand, before I jump into it, you got any shows coming up? Look like you did your thing in Raleigh.
Raleigh was outstanding, man. For anybody,
Man, y'all was like on a real stage. It looked like y'all were doing a concert.
You know, you would think like during a full blast hurricane that's going on that people would stay inside the house. Raleigh came to party, man. They really did. So I was amazed at it. I mean, full house.
Listen, they weren't gonna be able to tell if the wind was gonna blow the building down if that was just the guitars playing. They weren't gonna be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, we were really concerned that we were gonna lose power at some point, you know, but we didn't. We had a great show. It went good. But to answer your question, we're doing 2 shows. Okay. One with my Sick Man band. It's gonna be on the 29th. That's gonna be out of town. Folks won't know about that one. It's this place called the Haunted Pyramid. But in town here in Charlotte, Kendrick Colt is doing a Halloween party over at the Tavern on the Tracks on Friday night, the 28th. Halloween Begins party. Not Halloween ends, Halloween begins. So
nice.
Check it out. Come through.
All right. And your Sick Man is your Alice in Chains tribute band.
Correct. The real Alice in Chains was just in town last night.
They sure were at PNC.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So yeah. Well, the real Alice in Chains, yes, but I'm sure they would definitely be impressed by the way that you guys play and everything. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah, sir. Y'all check Rand's band out. Kendrick Colt is always jamming. So, just check and find out where they're going to be playing, and definitely is must see for sure. What is not must see, Rand, and I'm gonna jump right into it so I can get it out of my system, is these damn Carolina Panthers. You know, part of me isn't really surprised that they're not doing well. And it's really because when you don't, when you posted on one of my posts the other day, the definition of insanity. And you're absolutely right. Trying to do the same thing over and over and over and expecting some kind of different result. And Rand, you know, my opinion, how your coach still have a job. Anthony, I don't know if he caught Dave Tepper with a little boy or what. At this point, I'm thinking he walked in, saw something, and Dave said, "We good?" And Rat Rule said, "Depends." I just got that feeling now because it's almost like, who do you know? Do you know a bunch of? Now I know he used to be up in Pittsburgh. Do you know? Does he know some guys from Jersey that maybe Dave Tepper knows unofficially? I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. But it seemed like he knows something because he don't know how to damn coach. I can tell you that.
It's ridiculous.
And you know, I've said this even the first week when I saw it happening. Baker Mayfield's balls just getting knocked down. And when you realize that J.J. Swat is now old-ass J.J. Swat at that, we ain't talking about J.J. Swat from 10, 12 years ago. We're talking about a guy that still can play at a decent level, but is a shell of that high-caliber player that he was, continuously swatting down your balls. And you continuously throw that side. Like,
yeah,
do you know
that's the definition of insanity?
It's like, okay, if something keeps happening, okay, if you were running a play and it worked, and you run it again and it works, well, most coaches will say, you know what? We're going to keep Bill Belichick believes in this. We'll run it left, we'll run it right, but it's the same play. And we're just going to keep running it until you stop us. And then I'll do something else that you can't stop. The Panthers' take on that is, well, it didn't work this time. Let's try it again. Didn't work the second time. We're going to try it and we're going to keep trying it until it works.
Yeah. It's like, okay. It's like you go to the quick stop and get your cup of coffee and you drink it without the lid on it and you get burned, right? Common sense tells you put the damn lid on, but nah, you want to continue to drive down the road driving with no lid on, and you continuously get burned.
You just hell bent on you gonna do it your way no matter what.
Exactly.
And there's 80,000 people watching in person, not to mention the others on TV, watching you keep doing this. Keep hitting your head against the wall to say, you know what? Eventually, we'll get a ball over J.J. Watt's hand.
You know what, dude? When it comes to this team that we're talking about, I'm over it. I don't know if you've seen some stuff.
I saw you like, I ain't even going into it.
I ain't got nothing else to say about it. I totally
agree with you.
I wore this T-shirt just for them. I don't know if you can read it. Can you read that?
Fuck them. Oh.
Say it loud for the people in the back. Say it loud for the people in the back.
Fuck them.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with Carolina.
Yeah.
Hey, if you happy with Rule, I'm happy with Rule. You like him, I love it. But I'm done. You get no more dollars.
He's a joke. And you know, I've always said, and it's not impossible, but certain ones can do it and certain ones can't. When you look at Kyler Murray is an undersized quarterback. When you look at Russell Wilson is an undersized quarterback. When you saw Drew Brees, he was an undersized quarterback. This is why, guys, most quarterbacks in the league are at least 6'4" or better, because a lot of times when a defense, I need that shirt for my Washington. True indeed, man. You got Carson Wentz, and as they say, it ain't the W-E-N-T-Z, it's the W-I-N-C-E Wentz. But when you have a smaller quarterback, the thing that saves them a lot of times is their mobility. And not just their mobility to be elusive in the pocket, but their mobility to be elusive enough to be able to get around defenses. When your guy doesn't know how to climb the pocket, meaning that when he takes a 3-step drop, a lot of times quarterbacks will start to step into a pocket. Now, that's a very, very awkward place a lot of times for quarterbacks, because you're having to trust that your tackles are keeping the heat off of you long enough to either A, see a little bit longer downfield, or B, if you have a lane to run 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 yards, you can definitely do that. Baker doesn't climb the pocket. He tries to just throw from the pocket. Well, the problem is Baker is listed as 6'1". I'm listed as 6'1". But depending on what kind of shoes I wear, I'm a little bit under sometimes. But if I wear the right kind of shoes, I'm a little bit over 6'1". Baker is probably more of 6'5'11" at best. And if you're not mobile and you're standing in the pocket, and J.J. Watt's probably got to be every bit of 6'6", 6'7". So once they know that it is a passing play, they know that they can push the offensive line backwards. Okay. So all he's trying to do is he knows that there's a good chance I'm not going to get to the quarterback, and I don't have to get to the quarterback. All I got to do is throw my arms up to either bat down the ball or obstruct his view. And when he's already 5'11", 6 foot, obstructing his view with my 6'6" frame and my long arms, my wingspan won't be as hard to do. If he's 6'4" to 6'6", it's a little bit easier for him to put enough of a touch over top of me where I'm not going to get a lot of passes batted down unless I'm really in front of him in his face, putting the heat on him, closing in on him, about to come home. So when you're a smaller quarterback like, well, Brian, what's the difference? Russell Wilson does it. Kyler Murray does it. Yeah, but when Kyler Murray does it, he rolls out. He uses his athleticism. Once that quarterback rolls out of the pocket like a Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray, you've just neutralized that defensive player. Him throwing his arms up is going to keep him from pursuing you now. He can't do that. Now his arms have to be down because now he's trying to make a tackle. So if you're on the run and you can throw on the run, you've just neutralized what that defensive player can do. Now he has to match his speed with your speed to put a good angle on you to run you out of bounds or to wrap you up and tackle you either in the backfield or for a very, very short gain. But when you're just standing there in the pocket, when you're just standing there in the pocket like that, like I said in the first game when Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney was having their way, you're just standing back there like a pinata. You have no height. You have no athleticism. A lot of times if he would climb the pocket, he would find a lot of real estate where he could just run for 5 yards and slide. I've seen him do it a few times, but he doesn't do it enough to make defenses respect the fact that he'll do it. And when I see that, I'm going, you know what? That's a lot of play calling. That's a lot of not adjusting. Yes, you don't have the best quarterback to begin with, but he's not doing a lot of the things that are available to him. He kept trying to force it to tight ends when you got DJ Moore out there, Robbie Anderson. I got nothing against Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas, but let's not be mistaken. That's not Travis Kelce. That's not Darren Waller. That's not Gesicki. That's not Higbee. That's not any of those guys. So get them in open space. Yes. Don't try to force feed it to your tight ends when you got a stud like DJ Moore out there. Come on, man.
That's the problem. And, you know, I don't even buy the height thing. There are plenty of successful quarterbacks his size out there doing their thing. The thing is that when you constantly are looking to pass within 5 to 10 yards, those are the passes that are going to be knocked down. If
Correct.
you are passing routes that are going 30 yards, you got to throw it a trajectory that's going to go over the whole line. So if you're looking that deep downfield, then those passes are not going to be batted.
No, that's true. Absolutely.
If you're 7 feet tall, you're not going to bat those passes down.
That's right.
It's the problem that he's constantly throwing within 5 to 10 yards. Those are easy bat down passes, man.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So there's a lot of Baker, like you just said, there's a lot of faults with Baker that are his own fault that's going on right now. And that's one of them.
Well, you got to realize, Rand, you got to use what you have to your advantage. If you have a height issue, then don't do things that make your height an advantage to the other side. Use those things that make your height an advantage to you. Exactly. So when you're talking about those deep passes and stuff like that, yes, again, you're neutralizing the defense because they know that, hey, he's putting that arc on that ball. We're not going to be able to bat it. So if we don't get home on him, we're not doing anything.
Drew Brees never had this issue.
Or it's going to force the coordinator to start doing more than just rushing 4. It's going to then make them start contemplating, do we take more chances with blitzes? Do we run somebody up the middle? Do we come from the corner position? How do we run blitz packages against him? Well, the way Baker plays, you don't ever have to really blitz him. You just put enough pressure with 4, and a lot of times either you'll get home or you'll swat the ball down. And now what these guys are realizing is we don't need to swat the ball down. We swat it up like a jump ball and let one of our guys get up under it and get an interception. It used to be conventional. You just swat the balls down. Even they would teach the defensive backs that when they got a receiver and they wrap their head around, if they ever do that anymore, before they do PI, wrap their head around and they see that ball, what they do now is try to flick it up in the air and hope somebody can come up under it.
Yeah, speaking of getting your head around, C.J. Henderson.
Oh, my God.
How many guys are you going to get?
Didn't even try to look.
Good God, man.
God. But as soon as I saw it, Rand, I was like, bro, please stop protesting. I don't understand when y'all know it. Look, if you played against the receiver and he falls to the ground and you never saw the ball, don't go protest, man. Don't do it. Don't even do it. You see that flag and you know that you never saw that ball, just let it go. Yeah. Just let it go, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, Carolina's just got crazy problems, but it all stems from the head coach.
It
I
does.
don't know why
It
he's still
rots.
here. And for as long as he continues to be here, I got nothing to say about him.
Yeah, you
Good
done.
luck to you, man. Good luck to you.
Yeah, and what kills, I don't know if you saw that record about when teams score more than 17 points against them, they're like 1-26.
Yeah. Your
17.
defense.
I remember 17 points is like if your team holds a team to 17 points, that's some great defense.
And
The
yeah,
fact that teams all they need to do is hit that 17-point mark to have a 26-1 record against you.
it's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
terrible.
you should have been gone. I know you played at home, but you still shouldn't have been able to ride with the team. If your car broke down on 277, Uber or Lyft shouldn't even stop and pick you up. You just terrible. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with Rule.
I don't.
Anthony says the problem is not Wentz, it's the O-line and the injuries. Yeah, I play a little bit into that too, but I will say this, Anthony. I've seen teams with bad offensive lines still make their teams better. So the question is, when you take somebody that was a former first round pick, you're really looking to somebody that can be what we call a force multiplier, meaning that when you put them on the team, a lot of times they can make up for a lot of the things that your team doesn't have. Tom Brady did this for years. Didn't always have the best offensive line, but he made guys better. Wes Welker, Amendola. I can't ever think of my man's name when I'm trying to think about it. He always made guys better, and you know that because then when they went to play for other teams, they weren't always quite as good. He was a force multiplier. You think of other quarterbacks like that, where they get into a team and they don't have the best offensive line. Hell, Russell Wilson, for years in Seattle, had porous offensive lines and would still get the ball to guys like Disley, T.J. Lockett. My other man, I can't think of him either. I mean Lockett and the other speedy receiver, I can't think of him, but he would do that. So a lot of times I get what you're saying. Offensive lines are really, really good. But I've seen too many quarterbacks be able to step behind bad offensive line. Aaron Rodgers did it for years, where not only was his offensive line not very good, he didn't always have the highest rated receivers. I mean, think about how many years he did it with Randall Cobb and oh my God, what's the little white boy name that he used to have for years? And he would sit there and still tear it up. He would lead the league in passing or be one of the top passers and still have a very low interception ratio. So I just don't buy it. Carson Wentz is just not that dude anymore. He came out, he almost had that MVP year. After he got hurt, it's like the dude that hit the ground. He never really got back up. We ain't seen Carson Wentz since he got hurt, personally. There's a guy that's been wearing his jersey, but that's not the dude that fell down that day. I don't know what happened to him. So anyway, Rand, I wanted to jump on your Steelers because I know that there was a little surprise after halftime of the Steelers Jets game.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man. A big surprise.
where Mr. Kenny Pickett came out and quarterback for the team the rest of the way. Now, I know it was mixed results. I wanted to find out from you. I know guys were probably excited because I think he had 2 rushing scores. But were there any concerns because he threw 3 interceptions? Is that because that chalked up more to he took reps with the second team and now he was out there playing with the first team and the chemistry just wasn't there?
No, I mean, I'm not talking specifically to you, but I love the guys that are out here talking about, oh, he threw 3 picks. If you watch the tape, 2 of those picks hit receivers in both hands, not just one hand, both hands. It's, it bounced off their hands and into the arms of the defenders. How in the hell is that Pickett's fault? That is a good read. He did his job. That's a good read. It just turned into an interception because of the receiver didn't catch it. Now the last one that he threw was a Hail Mary to the back of the end zone trying to win the game. Where's the harm in that? Where's the harm in that? So to be honest, I didn't see a bad read from Pickett all game long. Now that's not to say that he's going to be this golden boy and just come in whipping it like Burrow did and the kid in LA. He's going to go through his struggles. He'll probably have a hump to overcome this week with Buffalo.
Yeah,
one of the toughest defenses in the league. So yeah, he's going to throw some picks. He's going to have some bad reads. He is a rookie, and this is his first start. But all that being said, just the spark and the liveliness that he gave the team when he came in there put life into dead waters, because Trubisky, that offense had it with Trubisky. They were not moving the football.
Yeah.
He was dumping off, missing receivers, a lot of 3-and-outs. Pittsburgh had more 3-and-outs than any other team in the entire league for the first 3 weeks of the season. That had to change, man. So I'm glad to see him in there. Go ahead and get the bad reads and the interceptions in right now. We're probably going to have this losing year. He's in a spot right now where he has nothing to play for. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're 3-1 and trying to make the playoffs and we put him in there and he's got the pressure to keep that winning record going. We're 1-3. So he's got nothing to lose.
He really does. Well, not Rand. You know what? Two observations with that. Number one, if you look at his line, Kenny Pickett threw 13 times. He made 10 of them.
Exactly.
So the only 3 that he missed were the picks.
Yes, and 2 of those were off the hands of wide receivers.
So if you look at the efficiency of it, that's pretty damn good. Now it's only a sample size of 13 pass attempts. But still, that does show you that he's not very – he wasn't very loose with the ball. To your point, all he can do is throw the ball. If he throws it on time and he throws it accurately and it bounces out of somebody's hands that should snag it, you can't really call him for that. I even remember at a time when they really started talking about when a quarterback throws a Hail Mary into the end zone and it gets picked off, not to even count that as an interception. That didn't go anywhere, but I know that was a topic for a while. That shouldn't really count against him because, like you said, he's just trying to make a play at the end of the game.
Yeah.
The second thing that I will say, too, is I don't know if they don't really have anything to play for because I ain't really seen anybody else in the AFC that I could say is a clear-cut favorite to win the division anymore. Everybody's got their flaws.
Yeah.
Cleveland looked like doo-doo. Cincinnati don't look that good. They not, I think about Denny Green all the time when I think about teams this year, whether it's Cincinnati, whether it's the LA Rams, whether it's the Green Bay Packers, whether it's the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm thinking about what Denny Green said. You want to crown him? Crown him. But we took the damn field, and sometimes when you take the damn field against them, you end up beating them. I ain't seen any of them that just make me just go, wow. Even Baltimore, for everything, and I know it was a kind of a controversial loss that they just had with Buffalo, but nobody really in the AFC North just scares me to the point that makes me, and I know that it's going to sound crazy to the Steelers fans for me to say this, but y'all ain't out of the race for being number 1. Not yet.
Well, I mean, you can't sound ridiculous in saying that because we're only 1 game out of first. Even at 1-3,
right?
Teams are 2-2 or no better than 2-2. So,
right,
as much as people, like you say, want to crown Baltimore, they're only 2-2, and they got to face us twice. And we're going to have
they've proven that. Well, I think a lot of teams this year, more so than in a while, have proven that while they may be really, really good teams, they're beatable on any given. Man, I know your phrase, any given Sunday, could not be any truer than what I've seen the first 4 weeks of this season already. A lot of the games have been very close going into the fourth quarter, within 3 points or less. There were a few blowouts or high-scoring games, but a lot of these games, man, you had no idea who was going to win that game until the end.
No, it's just the NFL now, man. Just, that's why a lot of teams you can't what do I call it? Schedule pick. We could go down the schedule and say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is a win, this is a
Or,
loss, this is a
chalk.
win, this is a
Call
loss.
it, call it chalk. On paper, it looked like they
Right,
got the better team, and you just chalk it up as a win. There's
right.
no chalk this year.
No, you can no longer chalk them up. You just can't.
Yeah, I tried to
Things
chalk the
happen,
Rams up
things
the other
change.
day against San Fran.
Yeah,
I gave them the nod, Super Bowl champs. Jimmy Garoppolo's back, only been back with the team for a couple of games, missed all the preseason, coming back from injury and stuff like that. And stuff like, even though I know how to use Jimmy Garoppolo, I know how Kyle Shanahan uses his quarterback and basically lets Debo and the other guys do a lot of the heavy lifting, and Jimmy gets the padded stats for it. But with all of that said, when and I'll get to the Rams in a second because I'm thinking about it. I just think Stafford just ain't right, ain't been right since they said he hurt himself, and they just been hiding it. But I have not seen him be right since. And they don't have a running game.
Speaking of Stafford, it's just crazy to see him play at this high level last year when he had Odell Beckham, and now he only targets Cooper Kupp.
Did you see how many attempts Cooper Kupp had?
He had 19 targets for one wide receiver. Means you are not seeing the field, man.
Not at all.
How does that happen with Stafford? It's crazy.
Right, especially when y'all sat there and went and got Allen Robinson from Chicago. You got Jefferson on the team. So it's like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Yeah.
But let me close up your Steelers. The New York Jets was one of the teams, other than the Detroit Lions, that said at the beginning of the year would get drastically better, even if their record doesn't show it. That they can be a very dangerous team if they become very disciplined with Robert Saleh being their coach. If Zach Wilson can take a leap from year 1 to year 2, if they can really establish their running game and not have to lean so much on Zach trying to play hero ball, this could really turn into a really good team. Not become Cincinnati of last year, but not necessarily be the laughing stock that the Jets have been used to being for so long. Anthony had 2 comments. You comparing Wentz to Joe Burrow. Not comparing Wentz to Joe Burrow, but just saying that Joe Burrow got sacked how many times last year, had a bad offensive line, and I'm sorry, did they not go to the Super Bowl? So telling me that a team has a bad offensive line does not mean that you can't have success, was the point. But if you say, well, Brian, I'll just take you for your word. If you're saying bad offensive lines can get to the Super Bowl, then what's the difference? Is your quarterback.
Yeah, last time I checked, Wentz is a veteran. So
right. Last I checked, Wentz was a first-round pick too. Last I checked, Wentz was in MVP talks before he gotten hurt that Super Bowl year. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I guess I am. And then he also says Allen Robinson is not a good fit on the Rams. They waiting on OBJ. Man, by the time you wait on OBJ, you may be mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, and how do you know that Allen Robinson is not a good fit if you don't give him the damn ball? It's like,
right.
Come on. What are y'all doing?
I mean, that would have been the same thing as the Panthers last year or a previous year saying, I don't think DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson are good fits because Christian McCaffrey keep getting checkdowns. Well, if every time you see pressure coming that you do is throw it to your running back in the backfield, that don't mean your wide receivers are garbage. That means your quarterback ain't looking down the field.
Exactly. Baker.
So I think after 4 games, it would be hard for me to say whether or not Allen Robinson is a good fit. What I will say is that Matt Stafford is falling into the tunnel vision thing where you see your main guy and that's all you see. A la Derek Carr, I think he thinks Devontae Adams the only person out there on the field. You can't do that. I mean, yes, because the guy is talented enough, he's gonna get his. But does that make your team better?
Well, look at their records. Look at the records of both the teams we're talking about. They're both struggling offensively because they target one wide receiver, both of them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I was trying to pull up my stats for receiving. The number 1 receiver in the NFL with 402 yards. Cooper Kupp. The number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number 8 receiver, Davante Adams, at 290. So yeah, they in the top of the league in receptions, but that's not translating into wins. It reminds me of all the years that Jordan would score all these points and win scoring championships in Chicago, and then they wouldn't even make it to the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay, I guess. So getting all of those yards, how does that translate into wins? Are you better suited for him to get 12 targets hell, Robinson, I think, only had 3 targets.
Yeah, that's all he gets. It's about 3 targets, man. I think he's got 9 targets for the entire season. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy. So, I mean, you see other guys at the top of the list. Tyreek Hill is number 3. Stephon Diggs is number 2. That's definitely, it makes sense. Marquise Brown is number 4. Justin Jefferson is number 5. Eckler is number 6, and that's funny. But you want to know what's even funnier than that? Tyler Lockett is in front of Davante Adams. And I would argue easily that I would have said that Geno Smith is not anywhere near the quarterback that Derek Carr is.
Yep.
But Tyler Lockett is like number 7 in receptions. And last I checked, the only person who's been throwing to him is Geno Smith. So, just saying. I don't know about it being a good fit. I just think that if the quarterback, if all I give you is 3 opportunities a game to do something, but I give your counterpart 19 opportunities, who's going to make more with the opportunities? Mathematically speaking, you don't have as much of a chance. So every opportunity that you get, you got to make it count more than the guy that's getting 6 times the amount of targets as you.
Yeah, Darren Waller, not a happy camper right now.
No, I ain't either, because he was on my fantasy. I had to bench him. I benched him like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, this is ridiculous. Dude should be eating.
Yeah.
That is one of your best pass catching, blocking tight ends out there. How when you get in trouble, is he not a safety valve for you? I don't understand that. Yeah. I don't get that.
Derek Carr and your boy Davante out there playing homeboy, man. Homeboy football.
Well, I don't think Davante's happy. I think Davante's one of those guys that if he gets 80 yards to 110 yards and they win the game, I think he's going to be more okay with that than getting 180 yards and losing. Yeah. He's not that guy that likes to lose. He ain't Tyreek, where Tyreek said, the only reason I went to Miami is because they offered me an ass load of money, basically. He basically said it was the money. And is the reason he ain't in Kansas City.
Yep. No taxes.
Davante did not go just for the money. Davante went because he thought he could win, and he could win without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He was not expecting this at all. He went for the bag, yes, but he went because he thought that situation was going to be a thing that could get them into the playoffs and then see what they could do. He just needed to have his old quarterback with him. And that's just not materialized because they're too tunnel focused on and I don't know if it's even Davante that's wanting the ball like that. I think they're just laser focused on him. Yeah. Or they think that now Aaron Rodgers did that because he ain't had no choice. That was his number 1, number 2, and number 3. And then throw in the Lazard and the Tunyon and Randall Cobb. I was thinking about Jordy Nelson earlier when I was trying to think about the other receiver back in the day with Jordy. But, you put Jordy Nelson on another team and he ain't balling like that. I mean, he
went to the Raiders. He went to the Raiders and didn't ball. So
right. So I mean, but that's what I mean by a force multiplier. A guy that when he sits there and he plays one guy, he's just balling. You put him somewhere else, not so much. As much as Brandon Cooks has been all right, his best years were with Tom Brady. You think it's Carr or the coach? Both.
Yeah.
The coach don't throw the ball. The coach don't read the field. But the coach does show film the next day and say, why is he the only dude you looking at? So I'm not going to say that the coach can say, or Josh McDaniels can say, hey, let me see where I can pass it to. But I think that the head coach works with the position coaches. They all watch film on Mondays and Tuesdays, and they sit there and dissect what happened. It's not like it just happened on one Sunday. It's been pretty consistent. It's almost like they could pretty much say, okay, let's watch the film. It's pretty much like last week, and start from there and say, Derek, tell me what you were seeing, because the only thing that I see that you're seeing is Davante, and point to parts on the field where other guys were open, or you weren't throwing into double and triple teams. When you're not reading the coverage, whether it's two high safeties and you got a guy running an X-clown straight up the middle and you got him on the seam, if you're looking that far, if you're sitting there while your feet are still moving, your eyes are looking downfield, or have you just finally just went and guys are open, but you don't even care anymore because your vision is focused on that one receiver. See, I think sometimes, it's like, Rand, I don't know if you've ever been in a position to do this. I sat there before and tried to hire family to work with me when I needed help at one of my hotels and stuff. It just didn't work because it seemed like your family just sit there and take for granted that because you hired them, they ain't got to be as good as everybody else. They ain't got to work as hard. And then they ain't know it be for me that I'm going to treat you harder than the regular employee because I'm expecting more out of you because I don't want you coming here making me look bad.
Right.
Sometimes you can't go play with your friends. It puts too much pressure on your friendship that I feel like because I have a connection with you off the field that I need to take care of you on the field. Team be damned. And honestly, I know this ain't going to happen, but I don't know if the best thing isn't for them to be one and done with this relationship this year if he can't compartmentalize the way that he looks at his friend on the field. Not saying that you can't have friends that you play with, but their friendship is on a totally different level than just some guys that you hang out with after practice. And that could be a detriment to the team.
Yeah. I can see that happening. If the Raiders finish last place in the West after all the expectations they had coming up in here, I mean, where else do you go with that? You got to tear down and start all over. I would think so. So
yeah, you really do. I mean, at this point, though, the problem is this. Davante is your higher priced guy. Carr's the guy you'd almost have to let go.
Yeah.
Because if you let Davante go after a year, you're going to have a lot of dead cap money. Derek Carr, you're not going to have as much dead cap. Right. So he's almost putting himself in a position where they may say, you know what, we love you, but you got to go. And, I don't know if we can do anything with him in Carolina. We take older quarterbacks and try to bring them in and make something out of them and don't work out. So why not throw another
like
60 million
now?
yeah, throw 60 million. Look, when PJ Walker is your own look, that's why Baker Mayfield said the other day, I don't care about them fans booing. Because he knows damn well that the only backup is PJ Walker. I talk crap too if I knew that PJ Walker was my backup. Because I know as bad as I'm playing, there ain't no way in the living hell y'all gonna bench me for him. See, you know what I'm saying? Like you can talk a bunch of junk when you know that the gun ain't loaded. But if you really thought some bullets was in that gun, Rand, you'd be like this.
I tell you what, he's lucky right now that Sam Darnold is on IR.
Exactly.
He's lucky.
Exactly. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I would almost take Darnold's immobility and his height right now, than take Baker just trying to sling it. There was some meme that had Baker like 3 feet tall and everybody else was bigger than him and he tried to throw the ball. I meant to put it on the water cooler. It was hilarious.
I saw it, man. It's like Baker has been historically bad, B. If I saw something that we were ranking the quarterbacks by QBR. Baker was ranked 34th or 35th in the league. Now the problem with that is there are 32 starting quarterbacks. He's down in like 34, 35 range.
Because he has a 15 QBR.
That is horrible.
I think they said he's like 11 under my man in Chicago, Justin Fields.
Yeah. That's what we could. That's our comparison. That's our starting quarterback. So,
yeah. I just don't get it. He had to seen Dave Tepper with some little boy. He had to. He ain't nobody gonna tell me otherwise. He walked in and saw Tepper doing some crazy, like some Catholic priest like stuff, man. He got
Dahmer stuff.
Yeah, man. Something, man. It's boy. Whatever he saw must have been crazy. Where Tepper's like, everybody like, Dave, you gotta let him go, and Dave like, Dave, why? He's not doing it. We got rid of Brady, and that didn't fix it. We brought in McAdoo. That didn't fix it. We got to let him go. It's obviously him.
Yeah. You know, I'm hearing that they talk every Monday morning after Sunday games. I would love to be a fly on the wall just to hear those conversations.
Me too.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Like, what is it that you are presenting to make them go, yeah, we should give them another week?
Yeah. What is that?
Like what were you able? Because if you just went in and you were just spitboxing and you walked out and you still had your job, I'm gonna need you to help me grow Empower TV Network, because obviously your spit game is on point. I don't know what you're saying.
Those meetings got to go something like, you remember this photo right here?
Right. Okay. Or it's like, here Tepper's going, well, you know, Matt, you know, I think just for the betterment of the team, we're going to have to, and Matt does like this, and he goes, give you another week or two to make this right.
Exactly.
It's almost like he changed it mid-sentence and go,
exactly.
Oh, or, it reminds me of that scene from Set It Off where Queen Latifah told that girl, she says, and she looked at her license, and when the girl was talking to the police and Latifah was there, she went,
yep.
She had her ID right there, and the girl was still shook. I think Dave gets ready to say something, and then Matt goes, okay, Jermaine. Now, Jermaine, we ought to put some of this on Head to Head tomorrow, but Jermaine Parker says, how many black head coaches got fired with a winning record? That man still got a job, bruh. I mean, I can't find no fault in what he just said, though.
Nah, it ain't no fault. That's because there ain't no fault.
I mean, yeah.
You got a head coach that is steadily the head coach for Carolina, and he's lost 26 out of the 36 contests that he's been the head coach. But he's still employed. You got a head coach, let's back up a little bit, that gets a 7-year contract with no NFL experience. And then you got minority head coaches out there that can't even get interviewed.
Yeah. Well, like my man down in Houston gets fired even though they play well. You have my man out in the Chargers. What was the name? I can picture him. He's a coach now. He's a position coach, but he was their coach with the Chargers before they brought in the new guy. And he had a pretty decent season, but they let him go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, Jermaine, I know what you're talking about. I mean, they let Jim, what's his name, go from Detroit after all them years, and he had a win. Jim Caldwell, he had a winning record up there. He just couldn't get to the playoffs. He couldn't get them over the hump. But yeah, so you're absolutely right. The only head coach of color that seems to defy those odds is Mike Tomlin. If you go by color, just say of color, but you can also probably throw in Ron Rivera to an extent with that too. But very, very few have that kind of leash, Jermaine. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of guys out there that stink, or after they get fired for that, they end up popping back up somewhere else. I mean, Joe Judge gets ran out of New York, and now he's a coach again with the Patriots. You just see these retreads where it didn't work in one place. They put them somewhere else thinking it's going to be any different, and it doesn't. And they get ran out of one place to the other.
What was the maybe you remember this, the story, it was just last year where Belichick calls, he's thinking he's calling. Yeah, he's thinking he's calling the his boy to congratulate
Brian Daboll, but he called Brian Flores.
Yes. And Flores had not even had the interview yet, but he was calling to congratulating him. Job. That's the NFL we're at, man.
Good old boy network. Good old boy network. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I thought that a lot of it has to do with the product on the field, you know, how you're doing, you know, but a lot of it is just, hey, I want that guy to be the face of my franchise. Hey, I want that guy to be my coach. He looks like a coach. He walks like a coach. He talks like a coach. He ain't winning no games, but he walked like a coach and he talked like a coach. You know, that's why a lot of times it's hard for people to trust Lamar Jackson, because he don't walk like a quarterback. He don't talk like a quarterback. Man, I listened to Lamar Jackson the other day, and the way he just be breaking down stuff and talking about stuff, he is so even keeled. Yeah, it does. He's absolutely right on that. Were there any other games this weekend, this past week that just really just blew you away?
There were a lot of them, man. I've just we could start with Detroit, I guess. I just feel so bad for them boys. They're right there at the cusp of making a breakthrough, and then just for whatever the reason, the defense can't come together, and they don't win. But you can see the talent is there.
But Rand, if I told you a game was going to end 48-45, would you have believed that Seattle or Detroit would have been either one of the teams in it?
Hell no. I mean, that might be their total for about 3 or 4 games.
I wouldn't. There's no way if you would have said, "Hey, B, I'm gonna give you the score." Guess what? 2 teams it was. I'm not going Seattle and Detroit in a 48-45 shootout.
Hell no.
I'm just not. I mean, Geno Smith was losing his damn mind. 23 for 30, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and picks. Baker.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Geno ran 7 times for 49 yards. They did depend heavily on their run game. Rashard Penny had 151 yards on the ground, 17 attempts, 8.9 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns.
Breakout ball game right there.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
But when you look at it on the other side, Jared Goff, 26 of 39, 378, 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. Jared Goff, the same one that couldn't get the Rams to where they thought they wanted to go, is balling. Sometimes the player does have to get new surroundings and a coach and stuff like that. A lot of people started thinking, well, dang, maybe Jared Goff is like a poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe he's just a system quarterback. No, I think Detroit figured out how to exploit him, his talents, and use him best. He's doing his thing. Jared Goff is actually, when you look at passing, he is the number 3 quarterback in the league, Rand. Behind. Yes. Yeah. The number 3 quarterback. Well, when I tell you who number 4 is, and Jermaine, I'm going to tell you who number 4 is too, even though their record doesn't show it. The number 1 quarterback in the league passing right now is Justin Herbert, all cracked rib cartilage and all. Josh Allen is number 2. Number 3 is Jared Goff. And a yard behind Jared Goff, just 1 yard, is Matty Ice.
Wow.
But do you know who's only 5 yards back because of them? He says because they have to sling it. Well, you're damn right about that. That is true. So if you tell me that's a lot of empty calories, that's true. But that does mean he can still sling it. Just because you have to sling it doesn't mean that you can. Because they're always behind. Well, yeah, that's why we always would see Dak Prescott with those 450-yard games because they would end up 2 scores back, meaning your running game was done, so you had to throw it. But that still means that you had to have somebody that was capable of catching it and getting open to do that, and your offensive line holding up long enough for you to do it. He said he's a bum. Okay, he's a bum. But he's the 4th quarterback with Jalen Hurts only 5 yards behind them, and that makes him a full that makes him a full 14 yards ahead of Patrick Mahomes. So you got, I'm down on that hill. I see you are, because you're going to wait till the end of the year when they're out and be like, I told you, Mom. But when you look at it, you got Jalen Hurts, who was being questioned as far as would he be able to lead his team. Right now, he is the 5th highest ranked quarterback when it comes to passing yards. He's above Patrick Mahomes, and we saw what Patrick Mahomes been doing to people, making them look silly. I mean, dude threw a jump hook of a football for a touchdown.
That was crazy, man. I know the play that you're talking about. That was absolutely crazy. He spins in a circle, still has the time and wherewithal to see down the field and hit somebody that's open for a touchdown pass. It's crazy what that guy can
do. Do you throw a football like it's a basketball?
Right.
It ain't even made the same. It's not supposed to do that. And there's nothing, and Rand, I'm going to be honest, I think half the stuff that we see him do, he done practiced it. But it's kind of like when you see Steph Curry hit them long shots. Well, if you ever watched him before the games, he be shooting from the stands, okay? So, take it for what it's worth. It ain't his first time. Jermaine said, what's his passer rating? Are you talking about Matt Ryan? If you're talking about Matt Ryan's passer rating, it is...
Yeah, he's down there for passer rating.
I don't see his passer rating. That's a good question, Jermaine. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what his passer rating is. His passer rating, I see his passing yards, completions. Oh, I'm sorry. I got it. It's 85.
Yeah, not very good.
Not very good. Now, and Mahomes' passer rating is better. It's at 108. Herbert is at 102. Jalen Hurts is at 99.6. Jared Goff is at 99.9.
Yeah, Jared is just balling, man. That's surprising, but he's just balling.
QBR is 41. That may be true. I'm looking at his passer rating, not his QBR, but you're right. Boy, he now 66.2 completed. Yeah. I get it. I get it about Matt. I'm just telling you who's actually getting more yards right now, not the passer rating. According to ESPN, I thought Joe Flacco was in the top 5. Joe Flacco is not showing on the list. Yeah, no, he's in the bottom 6 now that I can see. Joe Flacco is not top 5. Joe Flacco has 901 yards. He might have been before last week, Jermaine, but you got to remember Zach Wilson came back last week and played for the Jets. I didn't want to bring that back up because they played Pittsburgh and won. and that's their Super Bowl. They beat Pittsburgh. I'm sure that's gonna go. You know what though? I got a feeling, Rand, just to kind of put a bow on that too. I bet you though that win against Pittsburgh is going to look better for them towards the end of the year when things start shaking up. If Pittsburgh can really catch some fire with Kenny Pickett, that's going to look like a really good win for the Jets towards the end of the year. Sometimes you just don't know how those wins will look at the end of the year when you're looking at playoff teams and stuff like that. It's just like, and I got to bring it up. Lord have mercy. I got a friend of mine that sent me a text the other day, Sunday night, and it said, "How about them Cowboys?"
For what?
I said, bro, why are you sending me this? I said, y'all beat the Commanders. Right. You were supposed to beat the Commanders. The only quality win, and we don't even know it's a quality win yet. It's going to depend on how Cincinnati rebounds the rest of the year. If they don't, that's not going to be a quality win because you will have indeed done what everybody else is doing, which is exposing them and more times than not beating them unless they can right the ship. So you have no real quality wins. Well, they're beating the Giants, and the Giants looking better this year too. But they're still the Giants. Is Daniel Jones still their quarterback? Like, okay, they're better. Yes, they're going to make the NFC least more competitive. But I'm like, dude, who have you beat? Well, we're doing it with Cooper Rush. Well, he only been with y'all for 6 years. And you're leaning on your running game like you should be doing when Dak comes back, instead of making Dak try to be Justin Herbert.
Yeah, there's nothing I've seen from Dallas so far this year that makes me want to see a fan light a cigar. It's
come on, bro. Every time they win a game, they celebrate. I mean, my Facebook was flooded, and I'm going, you know, at this point, when I watch First Take the next day, and the last 2 weeks have been hilarious watching Michael Irvin sitting there preaching, talking about them Cowboys. It's hilarious. If you ain't seen it, you ought to watch it because it'll make you just laugh and cry from laughing. Because you can tell he's serious. He mean it. He wrong, but he mean it. He just be talking about them Cowboys. And how about that? We in Rush we believe. And like, see, this is why at the end of the year they cry like they do. See, when Carolina gets mathematically eliminated, I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna be a little frustrated thinking about the opportunities they wasted away. But I'm a realist. My team needs a lot of work. They're not any good. They're not gonna be any good. But these folks here, bro, got some visions of grandeur where you beat teams you're supposed to beat. Okay. And I told him, I said, I tell you what, and this was before I saw the Rams play the other night. Come back to me after y'all done got into the media schedule where you playing big boys. And I named the Rams as one of them. And then we'll talk. If they still doing it then we'll look at it. But you got to remember, if Dallas don't win that division, it don't matter about how about them Cowboys. And until I see y'all play Philly, I would almost keep it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with celebrating your team win. Anytime a team win, celebrate. Hey, man, good game, and then move on. But they like to go on and on and on like that's just vindication for them going back to the Super Bowl this year. And they've been trying to make this argument for the last 27 years.
Talk to me when you win a playoff game. Talk to me when you get to an NFC championship. You ain't
sniffed the NFC championship game and you keep talking about Super Bowls. Huh? And last I checked, it just became October. Huh? So yeah, I had to deal with that, man. I mean, and listen, I could pick them apart even more and say you only beat the Commanders by 15 points. You should have hung 40 on them. You only put up 25. So it ain't like you were just sitting there being some aerial acrobats. Cooper Rush is performing well. I will give them credit for that. I thought when Dak got hurt, season was over. Their season isn't over. They could still have a pretty good winning record. It doesn't mean that it'll translate into any postseason success. Ask the Baltimore Ravens about that. But it just means that you had a guy that's been in your system. You've been fortunate that he practices with you every day, and he has been doing so for the last 6 years. He has good chemistry with the team. He has a good understanding of the playbook, and they're not putting him in a position to make a lot of mistakes. And to his credit, he's not throwing interceptions. He's being very efficient with the ball. I always said the reason that you pay certain quarterbacks a lot of money, Rand, isn't because they're just great all game long, but they're great in certain moments where you're like, this is why I pay this guy this amount of money, because what he just did, there's like a handful of guys below him that could not do that. That's what you pay them that money for. You pay them that money to lead that team on drives and stuff like that. Cooper Rush is doing it in little spots here and there. They're not asking him to sit there and be a heavy lifter. Certain guys aren't heavy lifters.
Yeah, we only got a little bit over a week to really see what's up with Dallas. When
Well,
they
what
go
I'm hearing
to
is that Russ is going to start the next game because, surprise, surprise, Dak can't grip the ball like he needs to be able to throw it. And I said when he got hurt, when Jerry started trying to keep everybody from bailing ship, that there's no way in the world Dak's going to come back after 3 games because it's
yeah,
his thumb and it's his throwing thumb.
well, we
He has
both
to
said
be
that.
able
I
to,
mean, there
yeah,
was
we
no
said
way that was going to
he's got
happen.
to be
He's
able
not
to
coming
talk on
back.
the ball.
But come
So
October the 16th, primetime football, we're gonna see what's up with the Dallas Cowboys when they go to Philadelphia. So that's gonna be the
and you know that defense, is going to come for him. They're going to look for that hand. They're going to do everything that they can to make him as uncomfortable. Remember that they beat up Santa Claus. They coming for you.
be it Dak, be it Cooper, be it whoever, Philly's going to roast Dallas on October 16th.
And it's been made clear that as much of a beast as Micah Parsons is, they focused on him and took him out of the game. They negated Parsons a lot. Now, when you do that, though, you do open yourself up a lot of times to letting other guys get off, and that will happen. So the great players can command double and triple teams, but when you're putting that many guys on just one of the guys on the other side, you are exposing yourself. So then it's going to have to really be coming on the quarterback to make sure that they're getting the right reads and getting that ball out of their hands fast. They can't hold up like that by constantly doing that. So Parsons is now, everybody now knows we got to know where that dude is on the field at all times. He is a game changer. He is your Aaron Donald. He is your oh Lord, with the Bills now.
Just say he's their TJ Watt, and you'll be
yeah, he's their TJ Watt. He's their TJ Watt. Now I'm thinking about my man with the Broncos, then with the Rams, and then now with the Bills.
Oh yeah, you talking about the old boy that Cam Newton is having nightmares about.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't get my names together today. Von Miller. Yeah, he's there. He's a Von Miller. So, guys, they're going to start looking for you. It doesn't mean that he can't be an impact, but they're going to look for him. And then a lot of times, the other side or the other guy is going to start feasting as a result of that. So they're going to have to start picking their poison. That was an interesting game. The Jaguars are starting to play a lot better. They really exposed it. I don't want to say exposed, but they played the Eagles pretty well. Jacksonville is starting to get better. This is another one of those teams that I'm gonna throw into that whole boat with the Jets and the Lions, that they're making strides to get better, even if you don't see it in the win column. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he's still not throwing the ball a lot. He only threw 23 times, only hit 11 for 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. So still not really seeing Trevor be that guy to Clemson that everybody was just talking about and tanking games to get. Remember all that tanking for Trevor? Well, they did it and they got him, and still just hadn't seen that guy. And I know his first year was kind of messed up with all the shenanigans going on, but still looking to see him break out as far as being that guy, that quarterback, that high draft pick. Because you know what happens with high draft picks. If you don't produce early, then that B word starts to come buzzing around. That's why they want to make Baker work so well, because if he doesn't, then he's going to be called a bust. In the same light as Sam Darnold, in the same light as Jamarcus Russell, he's going to be called a bust. In the same light as Ryan Leaf, it's just going to be a bust. So I'm not saying he's anywhere near there yet, but he needs to step it up. He needs to be that force multiplier that's able to get his team going. Speaking about Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, 23-37, 249, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But what I'm seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs is they are basically just going to run and run and run on you and then pick you apart with the passing. I'm seeing MVS get a lot more involved now. I'm seeing Juju get involved more. Scott Moore was out there doing his thing. Kelsey was beasting out 9 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown, and he didn't even get started until later in the game. So Mahomes he's not saying Tyreek who, but he has plenty of options to throw it to. He threw it to, I think, 10 different receivers. So that's not going to be an issue. It's really getting that running game going, letting that run set up a lot of the pass. And in that game, they actually ended up rushing for 189 yards. Tampa Bay rushed for 3. It's hard to even say that when you've got playoff Lenny on your team and you rushed for 3 freaking yards in that game.
Yeah. Thank you, Kansas City, for shutting down Fournette, because my fantasy team really needed that to happen. So I appreciate y'all for that. But, you're right. Kansas City, they're finally getting it in their heads that if we could be effective running the football, that's just going to make Patrick Mahomes that much lethal. And the connection with play action that he has to Kelsey, that much more unstoppable. These boys are looking real hard to beat right about now, man.
They do. If you can't get enough pressure on Mahomes, he's gonna pick you apart. I mean, if you can't get to him or disrupt his passing lanes or anything like that, now they look legit. I mean, after watching them play the Bucs, they look legit. We talked about the Raiders getting their first win barely against the Denver Broncos. Denver just looks like their defense looks legit. Their offense just doesn't look like they're in sync at all. Russell Wilson, 17 of 25, 237, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But when it came to, and he threw it to 10 different receivers too. But his connections with Sutton and Judy just don't seem to be there the whole time. When he gets it to them, they do produce. Judy had 13.2 yards a catch, and Sutton had 10.4, but 4 and 5 receptions. That's not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. You're going to have to double that, Russ.
Yeah, the loss of Tim Patrick to the ACL injury really just took them off the it just derailed their whole offensive season. They're trying to find their way right now.
Yeah, they really got to, because right now it's them and the Raiders fighting for the bottom, and then you got the Chargers and the Chiefs trying to figure out who's going to take the crown. That's where it looks right now.
And then on top of that, you got Javonte that's just gone out to ACL as well. So that's another offensive weapon away from Denver.
Yeah,
it's going to be really tough with them.
Yeah, I hate my Tar Heels fall like that. That's just, oh man. And then let me see. We also had the God, what game was it that I saw? Jermaine's favorite game, the Colts and the Titans. So this is really going to be a battle of who's going to come out of the AFC South. To me, now Tennessee did win this game. I did predict Tennessee to win the South. I know you predicted Indianapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still early in the season, and I think neither team necessarily is firmly looking like who they may look like at the end of the season. But we did see Derrick Henry go off for 22 carries, 114 yards, 5.2 per carry. And then he had 3 receptions for 33 yards too. So Tannehill, they definitely took the ball out of his hands. 17 of 21. So he was efficient, but he didn't throw a lot. 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they
basically high school numbers.
Yeah, they basically made him put him back in game manager role.
Yeah.
And let the rest of the team do their work. It was good to see Robert Woods get a touchdown, 4 receptions for 30 yards. But with a guy like Robert Woods on your team, he needs more receptions. But the problem is that Tannehill didn't throw a lot. They scored 24 points, won the game, so that was good on their end. The bum known as Matt Ryan Oh, he only threw 37 times. Old ass Matt Ryan threw the ball 37 times, hit 27 of them for 356, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Hell of a bum.
Yeah, can't really blame him for that, man.
No. Yeah, I just love I love my brother. He said he's gonna die on that hill and call him a bum the whole time. So we'll see. Jonathan Taylor just hasn't been that guy this year either. A lot of that I'm sure is the line. I don't think Jonathan Taylor changed that much, but he's not getting the holes that he got last year. He had 20
ankle sprain.
Yeah, and he had 20 carries for 42 yards.
Yeah, he's gonna be I think he's gonna try to play through that, but he might be sitting a little bit. I mean, high ankle sprain is kind of tough. Matter of fact, I don't think he has a high ankle sprain. I think it's just a sprain, but regardless, it's gonna be tough for him to run on that.
Well, yeah, when you need your ankle more than ever, that's not gonna help you. That's not gonna help you. You gotta figure out when it's better to play hurt or to play injured. If you're playing injured, are you really helping your team that way? Playing hurt is different because this time of the year, everybody's hurt. Nobody's 100%. So playing hurt is different than playing injured. If you're injured, you're not helping your team most of the time. Because you mean to tell me that if you're injured, the people that are healthy don't give your team a better chance to win?
Right.
Nah, I've never subscribed to that. Like, and you make a business decision. You don't try to sit there and go winning no games and then making something worse just because you're trying to prove something. I believe in your masculinity, bro. I'm not going to question that. Rand, the game of the week before we look towards next week that I wanted to bring up was the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the Ravens just shot out of this game like a cannon. They jumped up on the Buffalo Bills. At halftime, it was 20-10. And after that, the Ravens didn't score another point.
Yeah.
After that, Buffalo didn't do much better, but they did score 13, but the Ravens didn't score any after halftime.
Yeah, I think the Ravens were actually up 20-3 in that game, so they blew a huge lead in that game.
Yeah, they were up 20-3 after going into the second quarter, and then Buffalo scored late, right before the half.
Mm-hmm. So in actuality, they blew a 17-point.
They blew a 17-point lead again. They've done that before and lost the game. Well, there was a lot of controversy at the end of the game, and I think one of Harbaugh's players wanted to have a word with him at the end of that
game. Wasn't very happy with the end result.
So anybody that didn't see the game, the Ravens thought that they could go for the win or basically go for the lead by trying to get the ball in the end zone on a fourth down play. Thinking that they needed, instead of kicking a sure field goal and going up by 3, they wanted to go up by 7 because they felt like if they left too much time on the clock, Josh Allen would drive the ball down the field on them, scored a 7 against their 3 and win the game. Well, Lamar not only doesn't complete the fourth down pass into the end zone, he throws a pick in the end zone, which stops the clock, gives the team the ball on the 20, and then they just drive down and kick a field goal at the end of the game and win the game as time expires. So Buffalo escapes out. They're 3-1. And the controversy was, should you have just taken the points and had your defense pin their ears back and just try to stop Buffalo from scoring?
Yes. It's like, come on, man. It's like, what kind of message are you sending to your defense by saying, I don't trust you guys not to give up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because at the worst, Rand, it could have been this. You kick the field goal, you're up 3. Your defense bends but doesn't break, keeps them in field goal range. They tied up and you go to overtime and you give yourself another chance.
Exactly. You don't even trust them to hold them to a field goal. It's like, oh no, we need 7 here in order to keep this, keep a win in our pocket.
Right. Now, see, I think he overthought it because in his mind, he's probably thinking, If we put 7 up, then that puts the pressure on them to have to get in the end zone, meaning that they may take a risk that they ordinarily wouldn't do, and we may be able to capitalize on that risk and get a turnover.
Yeah.
See, everything I just said, I could see that, but I think you overthinking it. To your point, take the points and tell your defense, look them
Man
all in
up.
the eye and say, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. Get it
Man
done.
up. Got one
Get
of the
it done.
best defenses in the NFL historically.
Yeah, I mean, what did you bring Von Miller there for? I mean, not Von Miller, but what did you sit there and put all this money into your defense for if you don't trust them to make plays at the right moment?
Exactly.
You
It's
know,
just
they
a
need to
horrible
show that.
message. Just a horrible message that Harbaugh sent to them. Just a lack of trust. I don't trust you guys basically to do your job. So we'll see how that spills over. I mean, he did the same thing last year in Pittsburgh when they had a opportunity to just kick the extra point, send the game to overtime. Harbaugh chooses to go for the win with a 2-point
Yeah, with 2
conversion.
points.
Came out empty, just like they came up empty last week. So maybe he's learned his lesson with that by now. We'll see going forward.
We will see. We will see. So, I mean, after week 4, just to give you your division leaders right now in the AFC East, you've got Miami and Buffalo tied for first.
Yeah.
Okay. But we got an issue now because Tua went down again on that Thursday night football game last week.
Yeah, man, that was scary.
As he was already concussed from the 4 days before. It has been announced that he will miss at least the next game, but there's speculation that he's going to probably miss a couple because normally the first concussion keeps you out for 7 days. The second one normally keeps you out for 30 days. So if you're really counting 2 concussions, he may not be ready for a while. So they're going to have to lean on their backup for that, which is Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
So as it stands right now, they are tied with the Bills, but it could be things like that. Now, here's the thing. The third place team that I predicted would be third place is the New York Jets.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Now, I know Mac Brown is not Mac Brown. Lord have mercy. Mac Jones. Mac Brown don't play football. He did coach him to a win this past week, Mac Jones. Mac Brown, I see you. Go Heels. That was Virginia Tech they played, I believe. But anyway, so the Patriots are in the cellar there. The AFC West, you've got the Chiefs, and then you got the Chargers 1 game behind them. Surprisingly, the Broncos are only 1 game away, too. And then you've got the Raiders in the cellar. In the AFC North, currently right now by default, you've got Cleveland. It's a 3-way tie. Cleveland, the Ravens, and the Bengals are all tied for number 1 with Pittsburgh 1 game out. That's crazy. In the AFC South, you have the Jaguars and the Titans. Not the Colts, but the Jaguars and the Titans tied for first place with the Colts 1 game out, and the Texans, we won't even bring them up. Only thing that I will say about my Texans is that I root for my Texans because my high school football team's quarterback, Pep Hamilton, is their offensive coordinator.
Okay.
And we missed you, Pep, because we had our West Charlotte 30th reunion this past weekend, class of 92. What up, Dub C? You know, we sat there and did our thing. Had our homecoming game, couldn't even have it at our field because the school was just built and they're still working on the parking lot in the stadium and all that stuff. So we had to go to E. Waddell and put it down on Hopewell and beat them in overtime. So Dub C out there, you know I'm gonna give y'all some love. And then Pep, of course, was our quarterback and actually played on our championship basketball team that year when we went to Chapel Hill and beat one Kinston that was being run by Mr. Jerry Big Ear Stackhouse, as if I can talk. So got a lot going on with West Charlotte Lions this week. So Pep, keep it up, buddy. I know you're going to do well. Pep was Andrew Luck's quarterback's coach from Stanford to Indianapolis for years and everything else. So he's been doing this thing in the NFL for quite some time. Looking at the NFC real quick, Rand, you got the NFC least. The Eagles at 4-0 are leading the least. The Cowboys are one game behind, but they are also tied with the New York Football Giants at 3-1. So even if the Cowboys slip, they may actually be the third best team in their division, but we'll see how that shakes out. Your NFC West, you've got San Francisco tied with the Rams. Also, oh my God. Is that right?
What's that?
The NFC West, all 4 teams are 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, damn. That's even crazier than I thought, because we kind of knew that the Rams and the 49ers would be at the top, with the Cardinals kind of knocking on the door, but we pretty much had done our eulogies and everything in our interment for the one Seattle Seahawks. I was going to say Supersonics. We did do an interment for the Seattle Supersonics. They are no longer. The NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers are tied at 3-1. One game away is going to be the Bears at 2-2, and then the Lions in the back at 1-3. And then finally, you got the NFC South, Tampa Bay and Atlanta, both tied for first at 2-2. As stupid as this is, your Carolina Panthers are tied for second. They're one game out.
Yo, that's only because we're 4 in. Let's check and see the standings when we get 8 games in.
Man, you know what would be funny is if Tampa collapses, the Falcons collapse, and the Saints just keep playing like they've been playing. Could the NFC South be the team this year that does what the NFC East did 2 years ago and have a team that wins the division with a damn losing record?
I doubt it, man. At one point, Tampa's gonna step on the gas and distance themselves. That's what I.
You think they're gonna figure it out? They're gonna come on. Yeah. They're gonna come on strong at the end.
Yeah, definitely. They got a reason for their record. I mean, wide receivers being injured. You got Brady with his problems trying to get acclimated after hardly.
Yeah, you got AB sliding in the Gazelles DMs.
Mm-hmm. He had all that, but once they figure it out and get clicking, that defense ain't going nowhere. They'll distance themselves.
Yeah, maybe that was just wishful thinking. All right, any game of the week that you're looking at for this week?
Several. I mean, we could start tomorrow night with Colts Broncos. That's going to be a very good game. You could jump into Sunday. You got I really want to see the Lions go to New England and win this game.
They will.
I think they can, and that's going to be a major statement for them.
Agreed.
And then you move over to primetime games next week as well. You got 2 very good ones with the Raiders and Chiefs on Monday night.
Woo!
Sunday night you got the Bengals against the Ravens. So both of those I'm looking forward to.
Do you what chance do you give the Raiders for Monday Night Football against the Chiefs?
About a 0, but it's going to be entertaining.
I thought you were going to say sub-0. Same. I like those same games that you brought up. Of course, I do want to see what happens when the Cowboys play the Rams. Yes, I do want to see the Cowboys lose. No, everybody knows that. But I really want to see if the Rams are going to bounce back after here's the thing. They just played San Francisco, who is a very, 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 very physical team. And they got smacked in the mouth. I want to see, one, is Dallas going to be able, with Dan Quinn's defense, able to exact that same kind of physicality on them and get the same result? Or are they not going to be able to get the pass rush on Matthew Stafford enough? If they don't, Cooper Kupp could walk away with 180 yards in that game. And I know they're going to put Trayvon Diggs on him. But everybody remember, Trayvon Diggs did have 11 interceptions last year, but he gave up the 3rd most yards.
Got smoked, didn't he? Got smoked a lot.
So they like to tell that first part. Oh yeah, he led the league in interceptions. Yeah, but he was in top 3 in yards that he gave up trying to, make a play. So, take that as it will. So we will definitely see how that goes. As far as fantasy football, I was 15 points in my other league from winning, and Matthew Stafford was my quarterback. All I needed was Stafford to give me 15 points, and I would have won.
Couldn't do it.
He gave me 6.
Oh, speaking of quarterbacks, before we get up out of here, yes, I will be watching the first career start of my boy Kenny Pickett. Go ahead and throw him in the fire against the toughest defense in the league, and let's see how he shakes out, man.
He may surprise them because, number one, his mobility. Number two, there's not a lot of game film on him unless you go back to his college days. Right. So you don't the element of surprise, and they're probably, I don't know if they're going to scale down the playbook to fit a lot of the plays he's more comfortable with, which you should, and lean on your running game a little bit and then open it up. But we'll see. A lot of times when guys come out and there's not a lot of expectations on them, they play with a certain sense of freedom. Yes. So I'll be interested to see if he does that. I will definitely be watching that game because my garbage game, the Panthers and 49ers, don't come on until 4 o'clock. So I need something positive to see before I watch that train wreck.
49ers are playing who?
Your Carolina Panthers.
Who's that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember last year somebody came on the show when I turned it on and had a damn paper bag over their head. Don't be surprised if the next week I got one. Oh, man. All right, y'all. Well, we about to get up out of here. Thank y'all for joining us for another week. We will recap next week. Hopefully your team fares better than mine did, unless you are a Cowboys fan, of course. And we will do it again next week. Rand, we'll see you then, sir. Y'all be easy.